top turret. We'll see if Flandre is going to go for the patented Trinity Force first. Wushin looking to trade it out for the next turret. Ooh, he takes a hit, but that turret goes down. And all in all, it looks like the lane swap is going to be in RNG's favor. Recall comes out of Lei. He's just going to pick up some boots and wards and head back down to the bottom side. There's the recall from Crystal. Let's see where they decide to send him, because Flandre is already going to be showing himself topside.
It should be important and very noted that when Wushin took down the tower, he actually tanked 2 shots, and so he got a successful what we call a bounce. And so by putting these creep waves into the tower, and it's not just denying the EXP and the gold, but making sure that it's completely killed the wave, so as the next wave comes in, you see where the wave is set in the bottom side. It's directly in the middle, whereas Crystal Wave is pushing more towards Sion. So Sion gets a little bit more free gold, whereas Flandre is still in a sticky situation. He has to overextend himself top.
Yeah, so we can see things looking pretty comfortable now for RNG as they manage to get that bounce and secure the first dragon. Now we are seeing a pretty large gold discrepancy break out between these two. It's 800 gold, well, about 700. 6 minutes in. All in all, that's pretty minor, but Yu is doing really solid against Xiaohu. He was even bullying Xiaohu around a little bit. You can see that consistent harass being traded so effectively. And with that CS lead in every single one of the lanes, well, it just disappeared for the top lane, Snake might just be able to make this difference right back up.
Kassadin has a pretty good time against most people who do magic damage due to his shield right there. So, and again, when so much concentration is on the side lanes and double jungling, it isolates that mid lane, allows Kassadin to kind of bypass his scary 1 through level 5 till he gets his Rift Walk, and it's just so much safer in that lane, having that escape and gap closer available to him.
Yeah, and we're definitely starting to see how Snake having a bunch of comfort picks is really affecting their play, because at 7 minutes in, they're 1,000 gold up.
Hello,
Xiaohu
RNG.
has been bullied out. MLXG trying to catch some farm in the mid lane, got punished by Beast. And really, with all of these comfort picks, Snake are looking to transition into the mid game very securely.
That said, there's really nothing for them to fight over, because RNG did do the correct thing, having their bot lane, the numbers advantage on the bottom side of the map, took that free dragon, so dragon will not be spawning for a couple of minutes. So right now, it just goes back to kind of an elongated lane phase. Flandre finally gets to come up into this lane, make up for the CS discrepancy, is now leading Sion.
Definitely a pretty solid advantage for Flandre. There is the CS lead that we expected coming into fruition, while Yu continues to catch CS in the mid lane. Now let's talk a little bit about how team fights are going to work, because with Snake on these comfort picks, we can expect that RNG might be in a bit of trouble, especially on that immobile Varus, and very squishy his ear.
Especially coming from the mobility that Snake have on the other side, Kassadin and Fizz. Once they're on top of Varus, he effectively has 0 tools other than his flash to reposition himself and to get away to safety. On the other side, though, Crystal pretty much in the same boat. Draven does have a displacement, and when he throws out his axes, and he can knock you back, as well as a speed up, but, you know, it's not a net or a flash or a relentless pursuit or anything like that.
Or a rocket jump or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how the dives end up working out. I am very concerned, because you've got Yu, who's on a very scary, one of his favorite champions on that Kassadin, and Flandre, who literally made a name for himself on that Fizz. So expect to be a very exciting teamfight phase. Once we get to that, some powerful damage finding Yu in the mid lane. He actually is forced to Rift Walk out of there. Now Dragon's up in a minute and a half, so it might be just a little bit early. Flandre, oh, lands the fish. Sky even flashes. He's taking a lot of damage here, but Flandre doesn't have a lot of damage with only that Doran's ring. Nobody's coming to help him. Can he get the kill? He does. Flandre solo kill, first blood.
And he may not have a lot of damage with just his boots and the Doran's ring, but Fizz's W and the fact that he can do percentile damage is just so punishing, which is why we saw the rise of the Cinderhulk resistant tanky Fizz, because he effectively doesn't even need the Trinity Force to just do disgusting amount of damage and shred through those tanks.
Yeah, and with Sky's flash burned, he's still not even level 6, so he's going to have to go top, miss a few creeps, and catch that next wave for some of that CS, but Dragon's up in 40 seconds. Flandre has got the timely recall, actually going for some AP here.
He's going for the Cinderhulk.
Yeah, just might be. That's the Fiendish Codex on top of the challenging smite, so he is going to do some serious damage with his auto attacks.
Very important that he's itemizing that damage and the CDR as well. So again, typically with Cinderhulk Fizz, it's not only the fact that you get multiplicative stats through the Cinderhulk and you get health and resistances, but when you build your Frozen Heart, when you itemize your CDR, you get to use your Playful Trickster more often. And it's almost like pseudo-tankiness, because while you're in the air, obviously you're untargetable. But hold on.
Yeah, some damage finding Xiaohu. You can see Yu being so aggressive. He's got the Catalyst for sustain along with the Crystalline Flask, so he feels pretty comfortable trading it up with Xiaohu. However, Xiaohu has completed his Morellonomicon well before the Rod of Ages, so he does have a minor damage spike. Lei waiting in the wings. Now, Dragon has spawned. Flandre trading it up with Sky once again. If he can bully him out of lane a second time, that would be huge.
So we talked about how Snake had built up this lead throughout the lane swap, but unfortunately they didn't have an arena, a stage to set for them to really flex their muscles on top of RNG. This Dragon now spawned. You see Snake in the area, setting up the Scuttle Crab, placing down their wards. This is the arena that they want, the Thunderdome, if you will. And the game can really crack open if RNG don't play this perfectly.
See how that works out. MLXG looking for a gank on the Flandre. He finds some damage on the Sky, dodges the onslaught, but he's taking a lot of damage here, forced to jump around. He has no escape summoners. Oh, he dashes forward. MLXG tosses the explosive cast. It's dodged. The slow comes out, but he's going to go down here. Yeah, MLXG gets the kill, and Snake respond by picking up the Dragon.
Yep, and this is a correct play. Now, the thing that I want to point out for Flandre, yes, he died, but I want to point how he used his Q. So the Q, when you Q to a minion, it's a targetable ability. It's a set distance that Fizz will travel. He had the Q earlier, but he waited until he was practically on top of the minion to travel the maximum distance away from Gragas and Sion, as opposed to just using it as an initial gap closer.
Yeah, and with that secured, that's going to be even in kills, now even in Dragons as well, but Snake with a comfortable 1,300, now 1,500 gold lead as the CS in the top, jungle, and bot lane is really opening up between these two teams. And really, it seems like Snake are playing the game that they know and love. They're all on their comfort picks. They're all on their powerful champions, teamfight champions. Flandre solo killing Sky.
Magus Enchantment.
Yeah, that's a bit of an interesting choice.
I love Flandre. He's like, Cinderhulk Fizz, that's so last week. Let's go Magus Enchantment.
That's so patch 5.10.
Let's get the CDR. Let's get the damage.
It would be, actually, I feel like he's doing more of a That's So Raven thing.
No.
And he's seeing into the
No.
future.
No.
And he's trying to make new things popular by seeing into the future.
You're the only person that I've ever met that uses That's So Raven, but like in the correct context of the show. Like you were really invested, you knew the plot line. You're like, you can't just say That's So Raven because it makes fun of That's So Draven. You have to do it because of the future scene, the premonitions.
Of course. The crazy camera pans.
Did you watch Cory in the House too?
I didn't know.
It's a great game.
Never played it. Well, let's get back to this game and talk a little bit more. So right now, it seems like RNG are kind of slipping a little bit behind. They definitely got the better of the lane swap, but they're just starting to lose out on this little grasps of gold here and there.
And that said, we're still in lane phase, and frankly, RNG's composition, it's not made for lane phase. Again, you just go back to the fact that they have a Varus. Varus is there for poking, for being involved in those big 5v5s, you know, chaining the CC. They have the Alistar, the Sion, the Azir, things like that. So they have hyperscaling potential where, yeah, you do have it, or excuse me, Snake does have it in the form of use Kassadin, Fizz, things like that. But we're not going to see RNG's real success until their composition is grouped up for a 5v5 where they can start attempting to siege and lay down poke and really use their comp how it's meant to. So yeah, it makes sense that Snake would find their lead here.
Mm-hmm. And with that, hopefully they will be able to propel it into a powerful mid-game team fight, because that's really where they excel. That's been their strength since they've entered the LPL that many months ago. And RNG, on the other hand, as we mentioned, they are kind of a newer-ish team. That's probably the most vague description I've ever given to another team.
They're kind of new. They've been here for a bit. They may have been. Yeah.
They might have.
So Royal never gives up. RNG here. They used to be known as King, or I say that because we have King in the LPL. They were bought by Starhorn Royal Club. Of course, Starhorn Royal Club is now in the LSPL, and they have RNG as well as King. The King roster is now the former Starhorn Royal Club roster, and the RNG roster is King plus Gamty and Starhorn Royal Club's top laner. So they got 3 top laners. They've got a Gamty top laner and Let Me. They've got King's top laner and Sky, and they have Starhorn Royal Club's top laner and Godlike, formerly known as Ackerman. So
yeah, so basically they're Star, Gamty, Royal Horn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
RNG, Royal never gives up. But they're a bunch of, I'm going to call them young players. I'm not going to call them solo queue standouts or anything like that, but they have a lot of potential, Xiaohu in particular. And I think you made this comment upstairs that, you know, 6 months into the future, they could very well be the next Snake. They just didn't ramp up as quickly. They didn't have their synergy. They weren't as cohesive as a unit. But there's definitely a lot of potential and a lot of talent there. And that's shown in the fact that they've been able to split so many games with, you know, top-tier teams.
Yeah, and with that, they are currently tied for 10th. And as we've mentioned, they are 1-2-0 away from being in 5th place, tied with Snake. And you can see a bit of a gank being set up right now. Looks like Beast coming in from behind is clearing out the Krugs. You've also got Ella trying to flank as Crystal shoves really hard with that BF Sword Vamp Scepter. And let's see if Beast is going to commit to the dive. I don't know if they have vision of him just yet.
It can be really scary to dive an Alistar, so it's very important how Beast and Ella juggle this tower aggro here.
Yeah, you see MLXG is actually headed down to the bottom as well, so it seems like he's sniffing something a little bit weird. And a lot of deep wards from Snake might be able to spot him out. Yeah, they are going to find Beast. There goes the knock-up. He actually gets knocked over the wall to safety, so good reaction from RNG, not letting themselves get caught there.
Good Spidey sense to know that something was up to pull MLXG to the bottom lane. Of course, since Beast was in his Tremor Sense form, his W down underneath, he was able to see Gragas approaching with his radar.
Flandre sees MLXG on the bottom side and says, you know what, your blue's undefended. I'm just going to snag that right up.
I like that Flandre still making the most out of having the smite there. But while still itemizing for damage, constantly using his playful trickster there to dodge the Scion. What is it? It's not Devastating Charge. His axe.
The slam?
Yeah, that one. Scumbag.
I'm not entirely certain.
Come back, play-by-play caster.
Yeah, you can see he's shoving that wave in right there. Flandre, very scary, as you mentioned, going for that Magus enchantment first, while MLXG catches some farm in the mid lane. Rod of Ages now finally completed for you. He's going to be fed his blue buff as well, whereas Xiaohu is not going to have a blue buff for the next few minutes, so we could see you get a little bit aggressive.
Very punishing on his ear, naturally. It's okay though, because again, they're not setting up for an objective. Dragon did go down. Snake took that last one because RNG put all their resources into the top lane. And again, we just go back to a really calm, elongated lane phase. Of course, Crystal loves this because it gives him time to set up his adoration stacks. When this Draven does finally get a chance to cash in, that is going to be a massive wave of gold.
Oh, knockback to finds Ella. They also see MLXG waiting in the wings. Forward ward is going to allow Beast to sneak in just a little bit, as once again they look like they might be setting up a dive. Flandre shoving the top, decides to run on down to the bottom and take this tier 1 turret. Great 3-man knockup, but pity you don't have anyone to back you up.
Yeah, RNG not willing to commit right there. And of course, Flandre wandering down, so good use of the pressure. We'll see where they go next. It looks like they're rotating towards that mid lane, although a little bit of a red buff contestation. Yeah,
they could be trying to steal this away right here. You can see Whoosh with the early Infinity Edge is going to be doing some pretty solid damage. Beast, he's got a pink ward, nice and forward. He's going to try clearing out that forward one. Yeah. And this poor red buff is like, who do I attack? There's so many people. We've got 9 members down here, 4 members of Snake. Is it going to be stolen successfully? It's 2 spites to 2. It's secured. Beast gets the knockup. There goes the teleport. The AoE is wild. Lay in the front line, tanking so much damage, but Xiaohu and Whoosh are untouched. Crystal is trying to penetrate to the back line, but he just can't find it. Flandre dives in. A huge Emperor's Divide splits the team, and RNG are shredding Snake to pieces. Crystal flashes away. He goes down to Lay's knockup, and Snake, with the blue buff, should be able to get out of here.
And this is what we were talking about. Yes, in the lane phase, RNG started to fall behind, but that's to be expected. Snake across the board pretty much got their counter picks and their tough lane matchups in every single side. The 5v5, that's where this composition takes off. A wonderful Emperor's Divide, waiting for Flandre to playful Trickster into the backline and then immediately resetting the fight. That was all Varus and Xiaohu.
Yeah, Wushin and Xiaohu coming up so big in that team fight. You can see Flandre and Beast trying so hard to dive into the back line, but they just could not find the proper positioning. And despite excellent damage from Crystal with that early Bloodthirster, he just wasn't able to shred through Sky, who built so excellently with that significant amount of health, and MLXG with the Ninja Tabby first. It almost seems like they expected a fight.
Now the question becomes, though, is where do Snake go from here? So they still retain their lead. That fight didn't transition the gold lead or anything like that. It closed up the gap for RNG, but it didn't translate into a dragon or a tower or any sort of map pressure. So Snake obviously learned the lesson. Don't fight in tiny little choke points against the Emperor's Divide. But so I'm curious how, you know, if maybe they'll turn to, maybe we need flanking wards, because obviously we need to threaten that back line, but if we can't just run through the Emperor's Divide, set up some deep wards, try to make a pick, and try to look for more flanks as opposed to just teleporting and running straight to back.
Yeah. Now, Dragon is up in about 15 seconds, make that 10. Both of the teams are ready to collapse. Sky doesn't have teleport. He was trying to shove it up on the top, but Flandre isn't there quite yet. He's going to have to run, and I think Sky is actually going to make it to the Dragon before Flandre is. So there is a chance that we might see another fight. Xiaohu gets level 12, gets that second level of the Emperor's Divide, while Beast continues to fight with Vision. Yeah, seems like we might be seeing a fight come out. Ella does pop the Banshees for Sky, so he's going to be taking some poke here.
Again, it's just really important how Snake are going to set up this fight. They have all of the tools to threaten and to destroy RNG's backline, but they need to position accordingly. Look for those flanks, get that deep vision that's available. If RNG can group up, cover their flanks, they should be able to win this, especially if they can get Azir into position over the pit and start setting up his Sand Soldiers.
Yeah, and you can start to see Snake are looking for that flank. You've got Flandre on the bottom side, Crystal and Beast coming in from the right, and on the left, it's you and Ella, but they just can't quite find an entrance, so instead they decide to put some pressure
It's so perfect. Look at where Snake is. They're constantly spread up over the map, looking for a collapse from different angles, while RNG just sitting like a rock, all bunched up in one location.
Really speaks to the team's communication that they're comfortable enough doing this. Flandre getting a lot of free damage down onto this bot tier 2. Look at how quickly he's shredding through. He's got the Ether Wisp and cooldown boots as he is going for that AP semi-tanky Fizz. Things look pretty solid right now as Crystal shoving up in the mid, and Sky actually has to respond down bottom, and just like that, RNG cannot take the Dragon.
Like LGD, Snake are very good with playing with different pressure points on the map due to their side wave management. And a lot of this, whereas LGD have Godby and Acorn to really lead that charge for them, Snake primarily just use Flandre, but he's so good at dodging around the map, being very mobile, being very obnoxious, and really understanding, you know, I can be away from my team for this X amount of time.
And once again, you can see he's split pushing on the bottom side. Sky has to be pulled to respond to it. He's the only guy who can survive this right now while the rest of RNG are here. However, they peel away from the mid lane.
It's important because Sky doesn't have his teleport available and Flandre does. So as soon as Ella here sees a good opportunity when Sky is pulled away, they can look for a depth charge engage, which is why you see RNG. As soon as Sky is sit down to deal with Flandre, they immediately back up. They don't want to give Snake the go button to go ahead and engage and force a 4v5 with teleport.
Yeah, so some great shot calling coming out between the two. Now we're 20 minutes into the game. Baron has just spawned. Beast has to clear that wave on the top side. He also has a teleport available on that Rex side, so he's going to clear this out. The moment he sees an opportunity, he'll teleport right back down to the bottom side.
Doesn't have a lot of tunnels that are really available close, though.
Yeah, so he is going to be a little bit late there. RNG do start up the Dragon. Flandre waiting in the wings along with you. Both of them can jump the wall. Crystal running forward with Ella. There's a lot of damage coming down. Crystal even is going to attack at the knockup. Dives into the back. There's the explosive cast as well. That was two very large ultimates, and the Dragon still up. Xiaohu looking for a pick, doesn't find it, and Crystal's the guy who gets the Dragon. And both of the teams are going to disengage.
Snake, beautiful communication right there. They were patient. They were considerate of each other. I don't even know what. They were just so patient. They knew we're here for the Dragon. That's all we want. We don't need an engagement. So great job playing with different points pulling on the fight. And as soon as RNG's attention was split elsewhere, they just quickly went in, grabbed the Dragon, and backed off.
Yeah, you can see even getting some free damage onto that mid tier 1. Crystal doing some serious work going for the Bloodthirster, and now he's got a pickaxe longsword with 1,000 gold in the bank. That's going to be a last Whisper second from Crystal.
The maxes.
Yeah, he's going to hurt.
And again, though, the map pressure. So this big wave in the top lane was set up by Beast before he decided to Void Rush over to the Wolf Pit for the Dragon. And you'll just constantly see this again and again from Snake. Just like LGD, when they're prepping for an objective, it's not just walking in, setting up the Scuttle Crab, making sure that their members are positioned at bot. It's positioning their side waves, making sure that everything's forward pushing so that if they do happen to lose that fight at Dragon, it doesn't transition from Dragon into a tower. It transitions into Dragon, okay, we gotta clear our waves. Or if they do win, hey, we got the Dragon and we can run up to a wave that's already pushing and take your base.
And we Can't see that's working out pretty well for Snake so far, as they've got some dominant map control now. It's 22 minutes into the game. They're up 2,000 gold despite being down in kills. But that consistent map pressure is keeping RNG on a leash. They cannot roam around the map. They can't afford to waste time looking for picks. And you saw Sky without his teleport. He was being pulled left, right, up, down, mid, bot by Flandre. And that's going to end up hurting them later on. No matter how tanky that Scion is, it's not going to be too effective if he's busy clearing minions when the rest of Snake decide they want to fight.
We'll see, though. Obviously, with the arena again separated, Snake go back to their elongated lane phase, just stacking up all of their gold. This is the other thing about Snake. So they've been mixing up their compositions, you know, picking some different picks, kind of expanding their pools. Obviously, you, with the addition, bringing on more assassins. But they never play their compositions any differently. Yeah. It doesn't matter if they're a big 5v5 team or if they're a poke composition. They always play it the same way.
Definitely not working out that well for them. However, they did go for a reasonably strong composition in this game against RNG as they look for more points in the brackets. And with this elongated laning phase, that does mean that Crystal is building up so many stacks on that Adoration passive. The moment he finds a kill.
I mean, that said, he did die, however, so.
He did.
He lost him, I think, around 140,
yeah.
So he's got like 50 CS on it.
That's a lot.
It was unfortunate.
Stacks. Yeah.
Because he has an assist, and if that assist was a kill, that would have meant, you know, quite a sizable chunk of gold.
Hashtag Draven problems. Where you're like, oh, auto attack, I got it. And then somebody like smite steals it.
Someone
Chilling
looking
smite.
at you top laners.
Yeah.
Junglers. No, okay. Snake.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Snake, because we kind of made that comment that, you know, their compositions have been mixed up as far as like their champion pools being changed up. It's not, you know, the Xerath, Azir zoning composition every single time. So we do still see a lot of comfort picks here, like Flandre's Fizz, like Draven's Crystal. Wow, Draven's Crystal. That's no, that's perfect. That's the amount of times
really appropriate, yeah.
he plays that champion, how good he is on Draven. Crystal's Draven, his signature champion. They've started to experiment with poke compositions. Obviously, they don't have one this game. Snake are very well known for their 5v5 prowess, you know, really understanding how to collapse onto a fight, just the different angles that they can tank, how to use choke points, how to use pressure points to make sure that they get numbers advantages. That's been their whole MO since they've come into the LPL. And so they're starting to experiment with picks, you know, taking Kassadin, taking Jace, things like that. But it never changes how they actually approach the game. They're still all about that 5v5, setting up different fights. And so you're starting to see an evolution of Snake, at least in their thought process, especially with their initial roster change from Baka to you. But it still needs a little bit more time to take. And yeah, Snake, they sit on the top of the standings once again, but the real difference between them sitting on the top of the standings in the normal season and them, you know, finishing first place in the LPL playoffs is going to be how they mature and how they revolutionize their play, not only in their champion picks, but in their play style and how they go about the game.
So I think we'll see if they definitely can evolve. I mean, Yu in the mid lane has been huge for them, an obvious upgrade over Baka, not to mention he's been growing his champion pool as well. We can see him on this Kassadin and keeping pace with Xiaohu's Azir, not only keeping pace, but bullying him out of lane, not once, but multiple times, without any jungler support either. That's a pretty confident maneuver. So we'll definitely have to see if he's able to keep up that prowess in the mid lane, and perhaps he might be the new blood that Snake need to become one of those top-tier teams. And RNG on the other side, it's a little bit of a different story.
It's funny that we're referring to you as new blood. Obviously, the mid laner from EDG
the
2014.
New blood for Snake, yeah. New blood for Snake. I mean, he fits with the team perfectly. He seems like he's really happy. He's playing exceptionally well.
And don't forget that he didn't have a lot of time before he came into this new split. Obviously, we're in the summer split for LPL. You said in an interview that he'd only been practicing with the team for 4 days before their first appearance on the LPL stage. And, you know, Snake, they came in and they surprised a lot of people from LSPL in spring and just dominating the regular season. Again, kind of fell off at playoffs because they were discovered with kind of some limited champion pools across the area. But with the addition of you, it's a roster swap that I really like and I think is frankly a straight upgrade. And it helps shores up those issues, so it's much harder to target ban Snake.
Yeah.
There's you.
He recognized it. He gave you the eyebrows.
It's the glasses. He always makes the best like facial expressions throughout the course of the game as well. He's very animated in his face, and then he realizes the camera's on him. He's like,
I mean, that's just like casters too.
no.
Or we're having a regular conversation and we're just making funny faces at each other.
Let's talk about RNG. We talked a lot about Snake. Let's talk about RNG.
Let's talk about RNG.
He gives it to me. He's like, please talk about RNG.
Yes,
no, we're in the game. We get to talk about them anyway.
Oh, you don't want to talk about RNG?
No, I like RNG.
Maybe we don't have to talk about RNG.
King was, I enjoyed watching them last split, and I think I'm one of the few people who would say that.
And what makes this RNG roster so unique then?
Different. They're mid laner. Obviously, they changed up from Assassin. They now have Xiaohu, probably the star member of the GAMT roster, which really started to pick up steam last spring split.
What does Xiaohu do for this RNG roster that Assassin didn't?
He's just incredibly talented, very high mechanical ceiling. You saw him in his team fight over the red buff that, you know, when RNG finally get to fight Snake as opposed to Snake just really dominating the pace of the game because they are the more synergized, cohesive unit right now, that RNG are able to outmaneuver them. They understand their composition. A lot of that is on the back of Xiaohu and just how proficient he is with champions like Azir.
And once again, we saw some of that skirmishing in the mid lane that's been happening throughout this entire game. RNG posture aggressively, but the moment Sky shows himself on another side of the map, they have to back up because Snake, if they find a 4v5 or heck, even a 4v3, it's going to be an absolutely terrifying endeavor. You can see the wave clear coming up big. Sky finally joined up with the rest of his team, 5 members of RNG, and they're going to crack down that mid-tier 1.
They're so powerful at sieging. We do see that you and Flandre are off into the side waves, but unfortunately the pressure points that they were trying to create there just weren't enough to pull RNG to save Snake's mid-tier tower.
Yeah, so now we're 25 minutes in. Dragon's going to be up in about a minute and a half, and there are some pretty timely recalls coming out from RNG as they're hitting some strong item spikes. The Abyssal Scepter has been finished for Xiaohu, the Phantom Dancer has been finished for Wushin, and it looks like the Frozen Heart is next for Sky. All in all, it seems like RNG are getting super close to that late game, we're going to murder you team comp.
Yeah, there's a lot of item power spikes pretty much across the board. The thing that I want to point out for Xiaohu is that he, again, one of the original players of Azir as far as the LPL is concerned, he likes to stick to his Nashor's Tooth. So still itemizing that attack speed on Azir to help out his Sand Soldiers.
He did just recall and now going for a needlessly large rod, so you can tell Xiaohu's going to do some serious damage. Everyone's summoner spells are up except for the 2 top laners' teleports as they headed up to the top previously. Dragon's up in 45 seconds, and it's actually Sky. He's getting a bit of a shove right now, and with a lot of wards over there, they should be able to see Flandre. MLXG was looking for a potential pick as well, but that means that he's going to finally have to roam down, knowing that Dragon is a possibility, while Flandre clears this wave out and gets it pushing.
Has to be very careful though, because obviously with the 30 CS discrepancy, that Lich Bane complete, as well as his jungle item, Sky could, or excuse me, Flandre can still 1v1 Sky, so definitely showing a lot of respect, especially with the first completed item of the Banshee Veil.
Oop, you can see Sky was trying to get a little aggressive there. He's getting some great damage across with that Banshee's Veil, and Flandre takes some punishment there.
As I say that, Sky's like, I'll show you.
He whipped him in the butt. Get out of here.
Using clever little Fog of War.
Yeah. Well, he was on a ward.
It was a blue ward.
And a red ward. Oh. And that's why Flandre hopped over the wall. So Dragon is secured now by RNG. You can see Snake were looking for some wards. They weren't quite able to find an entryway into the team fight. And whoa, Flash comes out. They find Flandre. He's taking a lot of damage here, and he goes down before getting a chance to hop away.
Instantly, Wushin flashes forward and drops the chain. So, wow. The aggression turned on.
Just like that, RNG are in a pretty scary position. Without Flandre to dive into the back line, they feel safe.
This is exactly where they want to be. It's in their siege, so very important that they have the Sun Tower behind them, laying down that poke. See if Flandre can get back into position. He does have teleport available as well as a 15-second death timer, so Snake could look for a possible flank on that TP when Flandre spawns.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see RNG back up a little bit as Beast coming in from the side. They see him coming from a mile away, however, and decide to back off, even dropping a pink on top of that tower, so they don't want to take any chances on being caught out of position. So now it's 2-2 in Dragons. They knock down that mid-tier 1, and with that, it's going to be about a 700 gold difference between the two. Snake looks to respond in the mid lane, however. They're going to try shoving this mid-tier 1 and answering back.
I'm waiting for them to dive. I don't think they'll do it, but...
It's Snake. You never really know with them. And, oh,
no,
come
they're
on,
just
1
gonna
minute.
take it.
Oh, man. Oh, so close.
There's a massive wave in the bottom. So I like the fact that RNG...
Hey, there it goes.
RNG 6-2 right now, so the gold is fairly even, but obviously Snake are creeping ahead not only in their structure advantage, but in their CS discrepancy between primarily Crystal, really, but also Flandre in that top side. And it's funny to me because RNG have the 4th most kills of any LPL team, so they like to fight a lot. We talked about how Lei has the most assists in the league right now, the highest kill participation. So the fact that their lead is supplemented, again, on the fact that they're looking for fights and kill gold versus structure and CS gold.
Ooh, Lei might be caught out here. There goes the Chuckle Waters. He does try to stay alive, but doesn't succeed. Flandre kills him.
See if that transitions to anything. Obviously, it's not a jungler or mid laner, but oh
God,
that damage.
Xiaohu doing some serious damage. Flandre, he's forced to be careful. Unfortunately, not building tanking might be hurting him this game. We saw what happened when he got picked out. That chain of corruption wrecked him.
That pretty much only leaves Rek'Sai as their front line as well, especially because Sky has now completed not only his Banshee Veil, but the Frozen Heart. So he has his big 2 resistance items for MR and AD completed. Definitely a kind of different animal as far as tanky frontline is going to go.
And we'll see if Beast is going to be able to survive in this upcoming team fight. Now, we're 30 minutes in, and once again, after that successful pick from Snake, they feel pretty happy about that. They get some vision onto Baron. However, they are going to seek out some words now for MLXG. They don't want to risk any chance that Snake could try to sneak that Baron just because they're able to burn through it so fast. They've got Fizz doing % health. Draven. Is that a Phage on Draven?
Yeah.
That is a Trinity Force.
Or a Black Cleaver.
Or a Black Cleaver.
Right?
With a
no,
Zeal
it's Kindle Gem into... It is Phage.
Oh, Chain of Corruption gets tossed out, but Ella with a dodge.
I have a feeling it's a Black Cleaver. I'm thinking about the recipe correctly.
He's got the dagger.
It's Kindle Gem into...
It's Kindle Gem Phage.
Yeah. Could be going for Trinity Force.
Because he's got the dagger.
I mean,
like, what else is he going to do? Oh, well, he doesn't have an attack speed.
If he just wants to do ridiculous amounts of damage, then yes.
Yeah.
And it would make sense because he's got a lot of AP, so he doesn't necessarily need to armor pen for the rest of his team. Because obviously, you know, Fizz doesn't care.
Yeah.
Kassadin doesn't care.
Oh, you've reduced their armor? How nice. Magic damage.
Thanks for the clarification.
Magic.
So we're positioning around... Sorry. So we're positioning around the Baron. It's really looking for picks right now. But RNG, I mean, it's just a completely different style of understanding. The fact that Flandre is constantly being shifted out to these side waves, distracting Sky, the big frontline tank. Snake, yeah, they play their compositions and their 5v5s the same way, but they really understand how to play around the map and play with different pressure points. Whereas RNG, they're just not quite there yet. They're not as matured as a team to do that. It's all really just about those fights. So it's interesting to me that Snake, they're so good at team fighting, really identifying how to get around a team fight, but they're just really trying to outmaneuver RNG right now because they're so afraid of just really the damage that Xiaohu is putting out. Yeah. And then you look across the team, the fact that you have Gragas, Sion, and Alistar, that is a huge tank line for the poke of Varus and Azir.
See, it's working out pretty well whenever someone has been picked out, and even in those earlier team fights 20 minutes ago, there was so much damage. And you could see Snake had some serious difficulty diving into the back line, and Flandre, he is innovating on that full AP Fizz. I like it. It's curious, but I don't know if he's going to be able to survive diving onto the back line as well as I would like.
He's an assassin, but he can't assassinate Sion right now. He hasn't gotten the better of Sky in the last 2 trades that he's had, so that's really the big question here.
Yeah, and once again, we have entered another pause. Now, Dragon is up again in 45 seconds, and neither of the teams are really positioning for it because Dragon's on the map, Baron's on the map as well, so they don't want to take any chances with it.
Snake's looking, or excuse me, he's looking at his computer like, I wanted to fight. I'm on Snake. Are we supposed to be fighting? What's with this?
This is a fight team, right?
Wave pushing. This wasn't what I signed up for.
Wave management. Yeah, and there's Xiaohu. You can see him sitting. He's like, all right, I can kill things. I'm okay with that.
I wonder if his last side or his next rotation item is either going to be the Death Cap or the Luden's Echo.
Because he did get the Zonias next and finished off with the Nashers.
Is that what he he completed his Needlessly into?
Yep.
Okay. Zonias, Nashers, Abyssal, and Morello's, I believe.
So
okay.
It is double Zonias. You've got both Xiaohu and you rocking the double Zonias.
So, I mean, effectively, you've got superficial tankiness and your 3 primary tanks, Alistar, Gragas, and Scion, and you're just trying to outlast the burst potential and the assassination of Fizz and Kassadin.
Yeah. That'll be pretty interesting. Not to mention Draven, because I feel like the moment Crystal finds an opportunity, he's just going to chunk 1 axe into the back line. You're just going to see health bars go poof.
Just disappear.
That's actually the sound that they make. Flandre, with a quick rotation, is going to find that bottom tier 2 undefended and shred through it. He's got his Zanyas too. So I expect he's going to dive into the back line.
So many Zanyas. We've got 3. The stasis.
The golden team. Stay golden, boys.
Stay golden, pony boy.
Yeah, so now Dragon has spawned once again. We're 33 minutes in.
The fact that RNG need this as a crutch to really move pieces of the game because they don't understand or they're unable to position a fight on demand against Snake is kind of an issue.
Uh-oh, they might be collapsing on the Flandre, who was on top of a ward. You can see he did open up with the Elixir of Wrath. Wushin just looking for some more poke as once again Snake try to find the flank engage. If they can get onto the back line, poor Xiaohu and Wush are going to go down so fast, but the forward pressure from Snake frees Flandre up to shove through that Dragon's health. It's out of vision, actually. He's going to be able to sneak this.
RNG, though, looking for an engagement, but immediately Snake all just back up. Great communication again across the board, understanding this is the objective that we came for. They want to fight. We just don't need to.
Yu's actually looking for a flank on the backside. Flandre is waiting in the wings as well. There's a ward right there, so they all see him, and RNG, they're playing this so close to the chest.
Grouped. They cannot spread out. There's so many assassins on the side of Snake that RNG, they have to stay bunched up. If Varus and Azir step out of position, Fizz and Kassadin can just delete them from the map.
Yeah, the scary thing is that the wards seem to be running out now. Oh man, here comes you and Beast from the
Look at this position.
They're just showing like, hey, check us out. If you don't want to be here, then you should leave. And the funny thing was, they were in that aggressive position when Crystal had recalled. He's only just now getting back in, and yes, that is a Trinity Force. He's going to end up doing damage. Yu has got to be careful. He jumps in. Beast jumps in as well. Insta Zanyas. The knockup finds Lei. And whoa, a huge flash knockup finds Xiaohu and Wushin. They're taking so much CC. Beast goes low. Crystal trying to find his way into the backside. Can he do it? Gets knocked out by Lei. Wushin's still alive. Flandre dives. Is not successful. Flandre is dead. Crystal gets caught in the knockup, and RNG, they've got a tanky enough front line. They survive the dive.
That is how you team fight. Textbook right there. So we keep talking about kind of how these teams are positioning around each other and all of the tools. Snake just cannot find the appropriate flank. There's too many reset options on the side of RNG, and the Emperor's Divide and the Cask. They're so good. They see Snake collapse. They reorganize themselves, get their 2 carries. Oh, hold on. Steal? Nope, we got it.
Yeah, Lei knocks him out of the pit in time. Takes just a bit of damage there, but that's all 5 members of RNG with the Baron buff. Beast chasing aggressively to see if he can find someone. He does find the knockup on Lei, but the rest of his team is still right there.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
They win the team fight, they take the Baron. We're going to see a replay. This is what I want to talk about. The fact that RNG, they're constantly clumped up. The fact that they're so good at reorganizing, repositioning themselves. You see Xiaohu and Wushin. There's the big reset in the Emperor's Divide on the backside, and just the 3 tanks stacking on top of their carries, making sure that Snake have no answer, that once they dive there, they can't assassinate.
Yeah, solid play out of RNG. That's going to yield them another set of kills on top of that Baron.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
I was sorry. That was awesome.
Textbook team fight, and actually RNG, for the first time this game, they're up in gold after securing that Baron.
And now they get to siege, and this is where their composition is comfortable. Throwing Varus Qs and setting up your Sand Soldiers. We'll see if they can finally break the inhibitor. Obviously, Snake getting very creative about how they want to position around these team fights. And yes, RNG are up in gold. They are in the driver's seat because they have Baron, but it just takes one mistake. Should be noted that Varus also doesn't have his flash, and on a low mobility, he burned it that time to help reposition himself onto the backside of his tank line. So, I mean, if Snake really wants to strike, they can do it now.
Another thing that is interesting to note is that now RNG knows they can take a 5 versus 5, so they might not be bullied around quite so aggressively by Snake.
They've been looking for a 5v5 the entire time. It's just that Snake have been just so patient in playing the map around them, looking for the perfect flank. I mean, effectively, they need a pick. They need to be able to either just instantly delete Azir or Varus.
You can see the 2 cannon minions hammering away on that inhibitor turret. They're just Crystal's like, come on, I want it. It's so close. Think of how many stacks I can get from that.
But meanwhile, the top wave that Snake have positioned.
Yeah, the top wave is going to be shoving. You can see the bottom wave might be cracking as well. There goes the Sun Turret as it falls down. And the inhibitor turret is going to be cracked.
Pushing in, will they be able to get the inhib? So much patience. Here comes the flank.
Yu dashes in. Beast looking for the knockup on the backside. Emperor's Divide forces him to go the long way around. Talisman of Ascension now turns it around. And RNG, they kill one. Now they kill two members. Crystal forced to flash away. He managed to hold on to it through that last team fight. And the inhibitor goes down.
This will also be an easy bottom tier tower. I expect we'll see RNG start to rotate. They've been respecting Snake so much, but ooh,
they could
actually look at the end.
Oh my gosh, there's a lot of damage here. Wushin is right in the depths of all of those tanky members. They dive onto Crystal, but leave Wushin all alone. Flandre tries to get onto him. Challenging Smite is used. Flandre is forced to Zanya's around. Crystal has gone down. Ella has gone down. Flandre has gone down. That's the ace. This is Snake who have gone down, and RNG are going to take game number 1 against Snake.
In beautiful fashion with a fantastic 5v5. They lost the lane phase. We said that's okay. Their composition thrives as all 5 members when you get to use that massive tank front lane for the poke of Varus and Azir, and they executed it brilliantly. Snake tried 3 different scenarios on, okay, can